Now, Gen X happens to be the superior, while the Gen Zs are dependent on them. And therefore, this is what is happening. Gen X feels disrespected. On the other side, Gen Z, they feel underrated and threatened. So, Gen X is like, you are disrespecting me. I'm running your life. I'm supporting your life. Then the Gen Zs are like, don't underrate me. I know how to utilize platforms, technology gadgets. I know what's happening where every other time. My definition of life is not influenced by the teacher in my class or by the priest or pastor at church or probably by when I get an opportunity to go into the market. My mentality is being influenced every moment, every second by guys from every continent in the world, by guys at the US, in Europe, in Asia, Australia, and every other place, and across Africa. That is where those are the guys I'm interacting with daily. I know the richest man alive. I know the richest teenager. I know guys who are trading with Forex and making millions overnight. So you telling me to work hard, get good grades, get a good job, make money, and have a livelihood. I know quite substantive number. I have quite substantive data of guys who never excelled as a result of good grades. On the other hand, Gen X is rich. They have wealth because baby boomers told them, go to school, work hard, you'll get a good job, and you'll have a livelihood. And they did that. They went to school, worked hard, had good grades, got a good job, and they have what they can call wealth today. So that is what built the mentality of Gen X. On the other side, the mentality of Gen Z is completely different. And if we were to use just the same example, Gen X as his brother or sister who is a millennial, that is Gen Z as his brother or sister who is a millennial. And they know their millennial have got their degree, probably even their masters, but they are at home without a job. Or where they are employed, what they earn is just meager. It's just can't even run their life. So the Gen Z cannot take the advice of Gen X because they have millennial as their practical specimens. They know, they have seen them have the education, excel very well, graduate, but no income. So the advice Gen X is giving Gen Z has enough proof. Number one, exposure of technology and borrowing a lot from diverse cultures across the globe. And then they have their specimen, the millennials. Therefore, when you have two generations characterized by totally different environments, which of course has built within them totally different mentalities, what is the way forward? And especially the inferior, the Gen Z, completely needs support of Gen X, because to access the technology gadgets, to access probably Wi-Fi, which runs the technology gadgets, and every other thing, especially counsel, especially wisdom, especially support, to access that, they don't have it. They need the Gen X. So Gen X feels betrayed, disrespected. Gen Zs feel underrated and threatened. So these two generations are characterized by those two statements which I've just said. So how do we bring them together so that they work as one? Their points of difference becomes their point of strength, and they march forward to birth what is going to run the globe successfully. And I believe number one is both generation appreciating that they are different. Gen X appreciating, yes, I was born at a time when we were the guys on the floor, when the globe was migrating from analog to digitization of processes. We were the guys who participated in that, and it was a success. They are first to understand that and accept that, but they also need to appreciate the Gen Zs. They have been born at a time whereby digitization is migrating to artificial intelligence realities, and as a result of that, their exposure is completely different to theirs. So both sides have to accept their differences. On the other hand, Gen Zs have also to accept Gen X are our parents. They struggled all along and worked all along for migration of analog to happen and digitization to be a reality. And also, together with millennials, worked very hard for digitization of processes to start migrating to artificial intelligence processes or realities or automation. Therefore, Gen Zs should stop having a perspective of selves. It's like they are demigods. They know everything. They are the ones on the stage and they are the one ruling. They have to step down, or they have to pull off the dictatorial mentality. And like millennials and Gen X, they can't tell us anything. We are superior because we are more exposed, because we know how to use IG better than them. We can do everything that we want to do, even without the knowledge of our parents, even though we are with them in the same house, under the same roof. So Gen Zs also have to appreciate for what they have to be, or for what they have in possession of their ends to be a reality. Gen X and millennials did a lot of work. In other words, Gen X and millennials decided to be adamant to adoption of the migration from analog to digital, and also to support the advancement of digitization to artificial intelligence reality. Then the Gen Zs will not be where they are. So Gen Zs need to understand there was a lot of work for them to be where they are. And again, of course, there is also the parental or the senior brother blessings. Yeah, because these guys suffered a lot, especially your parents. So there is that blessings of parents. Your father had to work a lot. Your father had to sacrifice anything, sometimes meals, to ensure you had everything. Sometimes you are falling sick. They had to watch over you to where you are. And you see, one thing which characterizes the Gen Zs is this. They are learned, that is, they are brilliant. Number two, they are healthy. Their immunity is okay. They did not face some immune challenges which the millennials, and immunity challenges which the millennials and the Gen X face. So they are strong, they are brilliant, and they are very vocal. Because if you are learned and your health is fit, automatically you will be vocal. And again, you have the advantage of exposure of technology, whereby your view of life is probably a combination of a variety of cultures. That makes you exposed, and that makes you a better breed in terms of how you define life and how you view life. So, regardless of you having such an advantage, there was a pathway to where you are. And if the guys who did the pathway decided not to do it or slept on their job, you'll not be having what you are having today. So you have to credit the opportunity of having what you have around you to the guys who came before you. And those are your parents and your senior brothers. And with that said and done, there is also something else which you're supposed to understand. For you to be able to live at an era whereby machines have completely automated human tasks, and everything that you need can be accessed easily. For you to be in such a reality, you have to understand this particular one thing. There are ancient principles which were adopted and adhered to for every digital and every AI platform can be established. Now, those ancient principles which were adhered to, even in the artificial intelligence realities, they will still remain paramount, and they will still have to be adhered to for life here on earth to be a success. And let me give a very good example. Now, some of the companies which are embracing AI are like Meta. Now, go and watch the documentary of Mark. When Mark discovered the idea of Facebook and the potential which was in that idea, the guy worked for 2 weeks non-stop coding, programming the software of Facebook so that he can launch it to his fellow students, and later he launched to the world, and it became a serious platform where people are interacting to date. Now, what did Mark do? As I just said, he worked for 2 weeks non-stop. He wasn't going to classes, he wasn't going out. He was just on that particular software, on that particular software, on that particular software, or on that particular app, until he had a final product. And what was he doing? He was completely keeping the focus and working hard. And that is why even today, he has incorporated AI on Facebook or on Meta, AI on WhatsApp. If I would tell you, he paid a lot of money for AI to be on WhatsApp or for AI to be in Meta. So what does that tell us? That tells us even the AI platforms that we are enjoying and that are making our life easy, the pathway to their existence are the ancient principles of success in life. And one of them is hard work, focus, having a vision, having a mission, and committing yourself to execution of the same. And you see, during the time of Generation X, this used to happen literally to everyone. No one was there to digest things for you or to crush things for you to swallow. They had to and everything. They had to crush it on themselves and they had to swallow it on themselves. But you Gen Zs, what is happening? Mark Zuckerberg is hunting, is crushing, and is bringing you at the platform of your phone for you just to swallow. What is happening? Elon Musk at X is hunting, crushing, and what is he doing? Presenting to you in the platform of your phone for you to swallow. But of course at a cost. But of course at a fee. And who is footing that fee? Gen X, your parents. Millennials, your senior brothers. Therefore, because they are footing the bill of ensuring you are exposed across the globe, you are able to use IG, you are able to use every other social media platform with your free time or in your free time, when you have the time, when you have the energy. That does not license you to thrash off Gen X. What that should make you do is honor them and then challenge yourself and say, after us, Gen Zs, there is Gen Alpha and then there is Gen Beta. What can we do? What pathway can we chant so that Gen Alpha and Gen Beta can be like Gen Zs, who are the guys who worked hard, who kept the focus and led to the birthing of these particular artificial intelligence platforms, which have made life super easy and crazy livable. That's why I want to challenge Generation Z. The demeaning, the betrayal, and the disrespect to your parents. They worked hard for you to be where you are. They worked hard for you to have the opportunities which you are having right now. And with that said and done, this is what I will urge every Generation Z. Kindly, for one reason or another, if you have happened to disrespect your parent, if you have ignored their counsel simply because you are more exposed than them in terms of accessing information, not in terms of adopting principles which birth results in life and there are results in your life. You are just proud because someone hunted or did the donkey job, crushed everything, processed everything, and brought it to your table to enjoy. That is what is making you proud. That is what is making you notorious. That is what is giving you pride. And that is what is making you belittle every other person. That is wrong. So, if by any chance you have gone head on with your parent, kindly today draft apology message. Draft some apology message and tell them, you know something, mom, I am sorry. I argued with you. I am sorry. You told me A, B, C, D. I did X, Y, Z. Kindly, I'm sorry. And I'm willing to take your counsel. I'm willing to sit down with you and explain to you my view of the world and how I need you to support me so that I can advance the current platforms which AI is giving me, so that those platforms can serve Gen Alpha and Gen Beta in a better way. That way, you'll get your parental blessings. That way, all the bills will be paid for you to continue advancing. And then the other thing is this. When everything is presented to you at the table or in an easy way, what happens is your mentality and your body tends to tell you it's time to party, it's time to enjoy, it's time to live freely. And that is usually very wrong. And that's why majority of Gen Zs, they are partying guys. Why? Everything has been brought on the table for them. And that is dangerous. And this is what I want to tell Gen Zs. The availability of technology in your fingertips is an advantage, but is a time-ticking danger, especially as far as generation of income is concerned by you guys. Very soon, you'll be having wives. Very soon, you'll be having children. And this is what I want to tell you. You'll have to have an income for you to meet the needs, their basic needs their secondary needs and their tertiary needs. This is the challenge. You are so many in terms of population, and there are very limited public institutions and private institutions to give you jobs. And that is going to be worsened by the reality of invention of artificial intelligence in the marketplace and in every other place in community and in society. So that means jobs are going to be fewer. Company owners and business owners will need lesser human labor to produce more results and also to distribute the same result. That is services and products to consumers. They will need less of you. So that means we are going to have a situation where jobs are fewer, but the population with needs is increasing and increasing. And that's why I believe Gen Zs, God has given you the opportunity to interact with technology in your fingertips so that you can master artificial intelligence, and in the line of mastering artificial intelligence, also know how can you become business owners. How can you optimize the availability of technology, the availability of reality of artificial intelligence to generate businesses, to bring forth innovation. So the phone is not a tool of influence, is not a tool of entertainment and fun. The phone is a tool of research. The phone is a tool of diving deep into configuring and into seeking to know, how can I observe and how can I have a keen eye of the many cultures across the globe, which I can know their needs right now using the gadget called the phone, and know what needs do they have today, will they have tomorrow, and will they have in future. And once you have that intelligence, because you have a technology gadget at your fingertips, you have AI softwares or apps at your fingertips. Optimize them or leverage on them in researching. How can I come up with products, with services, with solutions which will meet the needs of these diverse cultures, which I already know that they exist, and I already know I can serve them with this particular product or with this particular service and earn an income. Generation Z, that should be the mentality. It's not all about dancing on TikTok. It's not all about chatting day and night on IG. It's all about knowing that the phone is a gift given to you by God and by your parent to save you from future income generation frustration. And I want to tell you this: any Gen Z who is taking opportunity to interact with the phone, to innovate businesses, to come up with systems which can meet people's needs, that Generation Z is going to be the wealthiest a few years down the line. And that's why, again, I repeat this: Gen Zs, the gadget called the phone is not an entertainment gadget. It's not a gadget to influence you negatively. It's a gadget to not only influence you positively, but flashlight pointing to where wealth and money is going to be few days down the line. Therefore, use your opportunity of exposure to develop the right mentality, the right attitude to having dominion in the marketplace, and also to chanting a pathway to Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, and the rest of the generations which will come after you. Therefore, it's not all about looking at your parent and thinking they don't know what you are doing secretly. Because if there's anything which you are doing secretly and you cannot share with your parent, it is doomed to backfire at a time. It is doomed to harm you at a time. It is corrupting the principles of life, which lead to innovation and creation of everything which people are usually proud of. So, this is what I want to tell you as a Gen Z. Kindly, don't be a spectator of innovation and creativity, which is going to run the globe years to come. Be a participator in its innovation and in its creation. And I want to tell you, you not only make your parents proud and your senior brothers proud, the Gen X and the millennials, but you will create yourself a legacy, you will create yourself dignity, you will create yourself respect, and you will be praised for the right reason. And what will happen is this: discussions happening with what is characterizing you Gen Zs those discussions will be shut, and praises and immense support from your parents will be directed your way. And with that said and done, I want to tell you, as a Gen Z, you are living at a time which no other generation lived in. A time where you can go to ChatGPT and just ask them any question. How can I build a business? How can I register my business? Which is the most viable sector in the economy to invest in? And immediately within seconds, you have the answer. Whereby you can go on WhatsApp and use that AI platform there and probably ask, how can I write a novel? And immediately you are given the flow, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. A time whereby if you want to master any subject at school which you are not doing well, you can go on YouTube and find thousands of teachers teaching with excellence, with clarity. I want to tell you, you are living at a time whereby no other generation has ever lived in. Millennials are envying you guys. Gen X are envying you guys. Baby boomers don't know which they were you. And of course, they don't know the kind of advantages you have. So lastly, this is what I would say. There was a foundation which was built with the shedding of sweat, the shedding of blood, with people who broke their backs trying to build what we're enjoying today. So it's up to you. You make good use of it, or you go on partying, you go on embracing vices, and you crumple. And you crumple that which has been built in pain and in purpose just for you to enjoy. Therefore, as a Gen Z, ask yourself, when Gen Alpha will be of your age, and when Gen Beta will be of your age, what will they be proud of that you brought forth for them to enjoy? Lastly, if you're a millennial, don't influence Gen Zs negatively. Support them. Show them the light. At the end of the day, when they win, you will take the credit. That was the talk, the clash of two mentalities. And I believe at that point, we have learned that it is through Gen X accepting reality that they have children who are more exposed than them. And that does not make them inferior. That makes them like superior in terms of taking the credit. They charted the pathway of accepting and embracing and participating in the migration from analog to digital platforms. And millennials, you also need to be proud of yourself. You have participated and you are participating in the migration from digitization of processes to artificial intelligence reality. Therefore, we are all interdependent. And that is what life is. That is what the human story has been all about. The first man was a caveman, but the innovation came forth. They discovered from the stone, they can come with building blocks. They can come with all the tools for building, all the story buildings we have and all the different kinds of houses we have. And that is why today we are enjoying the livelihood which we are in today. Therefore, the past generations did their job. We are doing our job. Gen Zs, kindly do your job too. And I want to tell you, the earth is going to continue being a better place to live in. John Mwanganki, thank you.